Boom, we are back, baby. Views tube. I hope you're good. I hope you're well. Wherever you are around the world, we're back, gangs and dangs. But today, it's the tragic rise and fall of the Harlem Spartans. Um, as I keep saying on this channel, I wasn't very into drill as much when it first came out. So I was like the good old late boomer that I am, and got into this way too late in terms of Mizzle Mac, Lowski, Biss, you know what I'm saying? Who else? Blanco, even people like Zone 2, I think Moscow 17, but I didn't really listen to a lot from that. Anyway, I'm doing waffles. Without too much further ado, let's get into this. And if you want to see me react to a specific person or area, put it in the comments below. But let's go, man. Let's go.
Now, today we are traveling to Kennington, home to around 15,000 people. Kennington is a district located within the London borough of Lambeth, South London. It has long been known as one of the better and safer areas within South London. In recent years, however, the area has actually become the front of a viral drill movement that saw...
I'm not even going to lie. They already said one of the safer areas. I was like, what? In London? They said in South London. I was going to say, right, okay. Lambeth, one of the safest places in London. Sorry, because I'm looking down. I'm just putting it together. You know how we do over here. But yes, look, I was just talking about it. Biss, Blanco, Active. Now, that's someone I can't say I've heard or even heard of. Kenton, where it started. So obviously he was on this song. It was one of those ones where when it was really, really the rage, it was the line that Drake, do you know what I'm saying? Reposted or retweeted or wherever it was. That's kind of what made that bit go mad. Trying to think now if I've watched the whole thing. I'm not sure, like listen to the whole song.
Young rappers from certain estates within Kennington beginning to rap and release tracks that garnered worldwide attention. If you are a UK drill listener, then I'm sure you know exactly who I am referring
to. On drills as well. On drills, definitely someone I've heard of. TG, I believe. He went to jail. Like I know some of the things, like I haven't watched this, but I know some of the things that was happening because they talk about it in the songs. That's how you kind of learn, or that's how the police learn. Anyway, we're doing too much. Let's continue.
This being the Harlem Spartans, who, in 2016, up until 2019, had hundreds of thousands of people in and outside the UK singing their viral UK drill songs, disrespecting their rivals, and portraying the harsh realities of growing up and living in some of Kennington.
Question. If gang, are you gonna back your bridge? Yeah, I think everyone knows that's
Kennington's most dangerous areas. The Harlem Spartans garnered so much attention, in fact. They had even caught the attention of the Canadian musician Drake, who was eager to hear more. Nowadays, however, the group has faded out of relevance. This subsequent...
And sorry, the guy with the black guy with the gold teeth in that picture just gone. That's Lats. Remember, I think what one was I saying it? It might have been the 6th versus 7th or something like that. There was someone else called Lats, and I was like, is it? The only one I know was from Harlem Spartans or whatnot, but we know that the drill scene isn't very original.
Being due to the key members of the Harlem Spartans finding themselves on the other side of the law, as well as some members even going on to lose their life as a result of the ongoing gang feuds in South London, with the rappers associated often being remembered as some of, if not the greatest UK drill rappers to have ever come out of the...
And let me just say that, do you know what I'm saying? Mizzle Mac, mad. Lowski at one point, I didn't like him at first, but as soon as you kind of understand the wave, look, TG, just like what I was talking, I swear TG's in jail. They talk about all this stuff, SD, Biss, RIP. Active is not ringing no bells for me, man. Where was I? Even Wars, that was Lowski's brethren that died in a car crash. So you hear about this kind of stuff on tracks.
Country, but you may be wondering how it was possible for a group of teens to have risen to the top of the UK drill scene, only to fall out of relevance in a matter of years. Before I start this video, however, YouTube says only 5%.
That just reminded me, because you know what I'm like, people. I kind of just wander off into some next train of thought, right? Of course, like what's on screen, only 6% of you are subscribed, so make sure you're doing that. And I was about to say that Harlem Spartans, yeah, everyone, it was like unanimous that people were saying Miz or Max like the best in drill or whatever, Harlem Spartans the best. Active Gang had a hell of a run. But when he says, oh, you may wonder why, you know, they have a rise and fall. Well, no, because they're actually living what they're rapping. You know what I'm saying? If you didn't, then you're not real. But if you do, then you're either gonna die or go in jail and not be able to have a music career anyway. So it's a bit of a double edged sword.
Of you are subscribed. So if you enjoy this content, feel free to subscribe as it helps out the channel. But without further ado, sit back and enjoy this video. Now, Harlem is a large street gang based around Kennington, SE17 and SE11. More specifically, the areas Kennington Park, Penwith Manor, and Kennings Estates. The gang is also known as Harlem O, as well as Harlem Spartans, which they have since popularized. It's believed that the name Harlem refers to money, whilst Spartans refers to violence. These two meanings being the subject of multiple Harlem
Money and Violence. I swear that was the name of one of Lowski's songs. I never knew that's what it meant. I don't know why they called themselves Harlem or Spartans, but I just thought it sounds all right. I've never actually questioned it. I was today years old when I found out it's kind of money and violence. That's the meaning behind it. Mad. You know, like that. Harlem, oh, I've heard them say all of those kind of things. Today years old when I found out that Harlem Spartans is money and violence. Let's continue.
Harlem songs, example being Money and Violence by Biss and Zico. Within this, they rapped Harlem for money, Spartans we step out and do up your bad man brother. Anyways, the Harlem gang has a rivalry with Zone 2 from Peckham, 150 from Brixton, and most prominently 410 also from Brixton.
Did they always have a beef? Because I knew like Harlem Spartans, like I swear that yeah, they had a beef with Zone 2. But we are going to get into all of that actually. I'm asking bare questions like we're not going to be learning together. Yeah, I am gonna there's plenty of more London gangs and London ones to get through. We'll try and mix it up with the rise and fall and certain individual stories. I don't know why I'm talking like Jonathan Ross. As we go, there'll be a little bit of variety of things to react to.
Whilst they are affiliated with Moscow 17, Sirac, and most heavily with nearby, also from rivalry with Zone 2 from Peckham, 150 from Brixton, and most prominently 410 also.
What's his name again? Should know this. M24 from 150. Yeah, see, I want tactic. Who else was 150? Was what's his name? Is it Stinks or Sticks? Is he 150? I'm a bit baffled, guys. Anyway, sorry, guys. M24 though.
The rivalry with Zone 2 from Peckham, 150 from Brixton, and most prominently 410 also from Brixton. Whilst they are affiliated with Moscow 17, Sirac, and most heavily with nearby Cuckoo from Black Prince, with some Harlem members dual repping Cuckoo. Around 2014, the Harlem Spartans gang would emerge predominantly from
410. Is that Skeng though? An AM? If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments.
In the area of Kennington, the gang was quick to start releasing UK drill songs on platforms like Pac-Man TV as well as Press Play Media. In October 2015, two rappers hailing from the Harlem Spartans collective, being YS and Blanco, would release a track titled 3000 Savage. The duo then followed this up in January 2016 with the release titled Shit Den, which has since garnered around 350,000 views. This rapping duo weren't the only rappers for Harlem Spartans, and only a few months following the release of Shit Den, Lowski dropped his breakout track titled Hazards in June 2016.
Yeah. Yeah, Lowski had a decent little run still. Is he out at the moment? I don't know if he's in. I don't know if he's out. I don't know what his latest song is. If he's done something recent, put it in the comments if you know, and maybe we'll react to that. Probably get a copyright, but still.
This since garnering over 10 million views. Lowski then released a track titled DJ Khaled in August 2016. This track featuring another Harlem rapper known as Miz.
Oh my days. Oh my days. You know, like I just knocked off on my zoo. Oh my, you see, it all happens when I'm on camera. I've spilled a coffee before. Just to go and pause it because yeah, man, him and Miz, they were hard together. Did he do something kitchen? He done Teddy Bruckshot. You know what I'm saying? There was quite a few little songs that he done, like he was on a good little run. And if you didn't go to jail bare times, then you know what I'm saying? He could have had a much more fruitful life. Not just that, but probably made the type of money that he wants to make out of what's going on. I can't believe I've just spilt my zoot like that. Oh my lord. I can't, like money in the air. Anyway,
Zormak, DJ Khaled also garnered around 10 million views. Unfortunately, however, following this release, Lowski would find himself on the other side of the law, allegedly as a result of firearm offenses, this seeing him being taken off the roads, eventually being fresh home in 2017, where he continued his music career. In September 2016, Harlem rappers Miz or Mac and TG Million released a track titled Harlem Style, currently sitting on just under 2 million views. Following this, at the end of 2016, Harlem rappers Biss, Zico, and Mizormac dropped a song titled Harlem's Realist. This track currently sitting on around 2.3 million views. The views gained in 2016 by Harlem Spartans was insane. However, when 2017 would begin, the Harlem Collective released one of their biggest songs to date, this being Kennington Where It Started, which was released on the 15th of January 2017. Kennington Where It Started featured a verse from Biss, Blanco, Active or 80, and finally Miz or Mac. Within this song, Blanco went on to call for the freeing of his friends, as well as fellow Harlem Spartans members. He rapped, "Free D1, real crooks man. That was really Phineas Trap. Free TY, free Low Ski Loose Snow, ST, free Sav, free G Smarko, T-Trap." This song instantly blew up.
and the thing is, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, obviously, the song I can hear it now, but imagine if Lowski weren't in jail and was on this as well. Mad. You know what I'm saying? The fucking managed to clean this up in a sec.
Within the UK drill scene, currently sitting on just over 25 million views, with the Canadian superstar Drake even going on to post the lyrics of Biss's verse on his Snapchat. This being when Biss rapped, "Question, if gang pull up, are you gonna back your brethren?" Unfortunately, however, Miz or Mac and Blanco would be seeing the success gained by the track Behind Cell Doors, as only 1 month later, in February 2017, both rappers went on to be arrested in a pretty serious case. On the 15th of February 2017, just a month after releasing the Kennington Where It Started song, both Miz or Mac as well as Blanco would be traveling around looking for rivals in a car. The car was stopped by armed police, and Blanco was found with a loaded gun, as well as a samurai sword that he had attempted to conceal. In addition, Miz or Mac was found wearing ballistic body armor and a balaclava. A year later, in February 2018, Miz or Mac was sentenced to 6 years, whilst Blanco was sentenced to 3.5 years. It's rumored that the pair attempted to ride out onto rival M Block members from Stockwell, after Stockwell members had allegedly attacked Miz or Mac. Shortly after this, TG Million, who was also a Harlem Spartans rapper, would find himself on the other side of the law. In 2017, TG Million would be in a car when he noticed a rival from the 410 gang, who were also making noise in the UK drill scene, with rappers like AM and Skengdo. Anyways, TG Million began to chase the rival in the car, eventually colliding with the 410 member, before TG then jumped out, stabbing the rival multiple times. Fleeing seconds later, the 410 member was rushed to hospital and nearly died. However, he luckily survived. TG Million was then arrested and charged, eventually being given 12 years.
Recurring themes. They go and do the drills, but they're not smart enough to not get killed. Like, you might as well just ring up wherever, like wherever, and just say, yeah, empty a cell out. Like, I'm gonna be there in a few days' time. Let me know who the celly's going to be, this, that, and the third.
For the incident. In June 2017, Lowski was released from prison, getting straight back into the UK drill scene, dropping the track titled Teddy Bruckshot in July 2017, following this up with his hit track Money and Beef in October 2017, this title possibly being a reference to the name Harlem Spartans. Anyway.
Definitely seems to me like that, now that you've explained the meaning behind their name.
Money and Beef gained a massive amount of attention, especially from Drake, who actually sung the song at Lowski's 2019 show in London. Lowski was also co-signed by both Stormzy and Drake, which is insane for a UK drill rapper. 2017 also saw the rise of Harlem's main rivals 410, who were also doing numbers in the UK drill scene, with AM and Skengdo releasing tracks like Macaroni, Crash and They're Mad About Bars, all gaining millions of views, often sending and replying to disses from the Harlem Spartans. Lowski released released the track Intro in January 2018, following this up with his album Call Me Loose in April 2018, which was well received by UK drill fans. Another rapper from the Harlem Spartans gang was also beginning to make noise, this being SA or Lats, who had previewed a track titled Most Wanted Tugs in July 2000.
Yeah, Low Ski Loose, that was a decent project as well. Can't lie. But this is the guy Lats when I was saying, oh, the other Lats, this was the only person that I knew, but got killed.
2018, as well as even having a song with Miz or Mac, who was in jail at the time. Sadly, however, what fans weren't expecting was that in the months following the release of Low Ski's album Call Me Loose in 2018, the start of the Harlem Spartans' downfall had begun. This downfall beginning following the death of one of Harlem's most loved members, this being SA or Lats. On the 25th of July 2018, Lats from Harlem Spartans and a member of Moscow 17 known as Mimes would ride out onto rival 150 territory. The members would be armed with a gun. Upon reaching the territory belonging to 150.
So they're saying that he's gone on a ride out with someone from Moscow 17. That's what I'm trying to say, because I knew that they was relatively all right at one point. I mean, this could have been the reason as to why certain things might have fell apart or people ain't cool anymore. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know in the comments. I'm not even from South, so it's not like I'm proper tapped in with everything on the street or whatnot. So yes, man, if you know what's going on or knew what happened, then let me know.
Lats would spot a rival member known as J. He would attempt to shoot him. However, the gun jammed. J would then run toward Lats and stab him multiple times. Mimes would then drive off with Lats on the back of the moped. Mimes would be trying to take Lats to a nearby hospital. However, Lats would be in and out of consciousness and eventually would pass out on the back of the bike. This is when Mimes would supposedly push Lats off the back of the moped and would shout to nearby civilians, telling them to get him to hospital. Sadly, however, Lats was pronounced dead.
When gang pull up, are you gonna back your brethren? Hold on. Obviously not every time, but you can't say that. Well, you can with that, because it just sounded like obviously man's passing out on the back of the bike. Someone help him because he don't want to get arrested. But at the end of the day, my man's dead now. Do you get it? But the reason why I paused it there is because, you know, there was, I can't remember which video, and they were saying that, oh, even the is it the 98s? Is it that video with Hypo where he got stabbed by the bouncer and they said, oh, he got away with it because it was self-defense? I'm like, bro, if you can walk away from whoever's confronting you and come back later or not too long after with a knife or gun or reinforcements, how is that self-defense? If someone approached you and you felt like you couldn't even, like, or they struck out at you there and then you did what you did, for me, that's self-defense. Do you know what I mean? Now him, he's gone to try and shoot someone. The gun's jammed. Then he's been stabbed by the person he's tried to shoot. For me, self-defense. Not to say that, I don't know if he's been found guilty or not, but that for me is self-defense.
Moments later, with a murder investigation being launched days later, it was thought that J would be arrested for the murder, but would have the charges dropped on the basis of self-defense. Rest in peace, Lats. The loss of Lats was what many believed to be the beginning of Harlem's downfall. As he was loved by all members, the murder of Lats also caused some in-house rivalry between both Moscow 17 and Harlem Spartans. However, since it's
I wish Moscow never existed and the man them just come out of jail so it can go back how it used to be. Oh Lord. Who was that? So his things being blocked there.
It's believed both sides have become affiliated once again, with Incognito even posting after his passing, taking to Snapchat writing that he was invited on the ride out and should have went with.
Boy, you say you should have went, but then what? Do you know what I'm saying? Were you both gonna jump out and try and shoot? Maybe if there was an extra gun and that didn't jam, then Lats wouldn't have been dead, but he might have been in prison. Incog as well, another young guy, probably the best in Moscow 17, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if there's I can't say I'm familiar with them that much, but I know Incog was involved in a few things and had a few interviews. When they just showed his face there, that's how I remembered him.
Sadly, however, just a week later, Incognito himself would also be killed, just adding to the pain felt by both Moscow 17 members as well as Harlem members. Following the death of Latz, his track Most Wanted Tugs was released, with everyone paying tribute to him, as he really had potential to be one of Harlem's biggest rappers. At some point in 2018, Blanco from the Harlem Spartans was released from prison, going on to release a track titled Return of the Born. Around this time, Ondrills from Harlem Spartans began to release music, dropping his breakout track Certified, which featured Harlem rappers LM and Splash. This song actually garnered quite a bit of attention, currently sitting on around 6 million views. This factor only pushed Ondrills, who only days later released Youngest and Baddest, featuring LM, both songs gaining millions of views. However, it is believed that Ondrills would be in jail from 2019 onward, taking another one of Harlem's biggest rappers off the streets. Now, 2019 would roll around, and would prove to be one of the least consistent years for the Harlem Spartans, with Low Ski continuing to release every now and then. However, in April 2019, he would find himself on the other side of the law, fighting a pretty serious firearm charge. On the 9th of April 2019, Low Ski would be traveling to Willesden in an Uber, booked under a false name. It's believed.
Come on, traveling to Willesden, 2 down, 3 up. My Northwest people, them. You booked the Uber under a bug name, though. Oh, Lord. Is this the thing where I swear I heard that he got caught with a gun in it? I think there's one of them he got caught with a gun, if I'm not mistaken.
Believed he was traveling to Willesden to be questioned over the death of his close friend S.A. or Latz. Whilst in the Uber, the police would stop the car and search Low Ski, who was originally found with nothing, before police found a revolver in a sock by the front passenger.
Right, so it wasn't kind of explain what was going on. Like when this happened, it was just like, oh, Lowski's been found with a gun in the whip, boom, boom, boom. Like he's gonna probably go to court, probably go jail, all the rest of it. They ain't explaining that he was in an Uber on his way to Willesden to go and talk about something that's happened or whatever. Go and give his statement or whatever it is. Yeah, 'cause I don't know. But then, how did they know to just stop him and search him in the car? That's mad, isn't it? That is so crazy.
Seat. Low Ski was arrested on the scene and was charged with possession of a firearm, intent to endanger life, and possession of ammunition. Now, his first trial resulted in a retrial, as his prosecutor had fallen ill, whilst the second trial resulted in a hung jury. His third trial, however, resulted in him being sentenced to 7 years on the 5th of January 2023. And I'm sure you probably know, Low Ski was released from prison on the 30th of September 2024, where he has since returned to the UK drill scene. Now, whilst fighting this charge, the remaining Harlem Spartans members continued to make music, these including Blanco, Ondrills, SD, and most prominently Biss, who released a track titled 3 My Drilla in September 2019. Within this song, he called for the freeing of his friend Scratcha, who was sentenced to 10 years after being caught with a shotgun in November 2018, this once again being a loss for the Harlem Spartans. As
like I said, just like Active Gang, man, if you actually are doing what you're rapping about, you're not going to be rapping for too much longer. Recurring themes, people.
Scratcha was also a rapper. Sadly, however, the biggest loss for the Harlem Spartans was only around the corner, as in December 2019, they would lose their biggest and most prominent rapper at the time, as a result of the endless violence in London streets. On the 6th of December 2019, 20-year-old Crosslawn Davis, or Biss, would be filming the music video to his upcoming track titled Beretta outside of London. When traveling back to London, Biss was phoned by members of another South London gang known as CP, or Catch Pagans, as well as Crofton Park. Whilst on the phone, the CP members began to disrespect Latz, who had died around a year earlier. Biss was unhappy about this, and traveled to Deptford where he and the CP members began to fight. Sadly, during this fight, Biss sustained at least 9 wounds to the head, back and chest, sadly dying on the scene. 2 defendants were arrested days later and have...
And they're saying wounds, they're not saying stabs though, so it could have been a hammer, a bat, a brick, anything. It's not like you can't kill someone like that, but you're coming back from your own video shoot, someone's rang you up chatting shit, and what, you've gone down there on your own? If you're on your own, you wanted to stand up and argue with people and Yeah, and you're not just letting go straight. I don't know. It's mad. It's yeah. Let's continue.
Since been found guilty of his murder. Rest in peace, Biss. The death of Biss meant that most of Harlem Spartans were off the road and weren't making music, as Biss was really the last rapper putting on for the Harlem Spartans collective. As around this time, many of the members were either jailed for drug offenses or violence. An example being Wiz from Harlem, who in 2020 was arrested and sentenced to 4 years after allegedly being the driver in a case of attempted murder, targeting a rival 150 member. In June 2020, Miz or Mac was released from prison, following his 2017 arrest with Blanco. Upon being released, he hit the studio and dropped his track titled Return of the Mac, where he showed love to his fallen friends. Rapping, "Life's really been about threes and RIPs. It's turning me mad. When I think about Biss, I scream. I try go sleep, then I see lats." This release was massive for Miz or Mac, currently sitting on just under 8 million views. However, Miz or Mac wouldn't stay out of the eyes of the law for long, and in November 2020, he was arrested and charged for aiming a gun at a police officer, getting sentenced to 9 years. As of most recently, in December 2021, a Harlem member known as Wars would be killed in a car accident. He is often mourned and remembered by members of the Harlem Spartans, and is thought to have been one of Lowski's.
Lowski, yeah, he mentioned that in his songs. Something about war. Oh, Mizzle might just come out of jail and then you're doing what? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Do you see that little thing that what was he gonna do? Shoot? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Obviously, he never shot, he got caught, he got charged, he's probably back in jail. Pitch black.
His closest friends. Rest in peace, Wars. Now, Lowski was actually released from prison in September 2024, where he has since gone on to release a video titled 48 Hours with Lowski. Following his release, as well as a track titled Ashes, I do hope that Lowski stays out of trouble and can help his friends gain the recognition they deserve in the UK drill scene. As if the tragic story of Harlem Spartans has taught you anything, it should be that this road life isn't worth it. Even if you think it is not, as it only ever leads to jail and death. The only person involved in this story who has seemed to make the best of the road life is Blanco, who has since distanced himself from the gang life and is gaining millions of views on every.
Yeah, I did hear that. I thought he just left Harlem, but it's like he's just distancing himself from gang and just doing the music, and a lot more man should do that, especially if you haven't got too much skin in the game. Get out while you can, you know what I mean? But another one down, people, man. It is sad because they were very good musically. It's just like Active Gang, very good musically. Well, most of them, but they can't stay on the street long enough to give us music. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, in the spirit of not wasting everyone's time, that was the tragic rise and fall of the Harlem Spartans. If you want to see more, something will probably be popping up around here. And let me know. We are taking requests as well. So we'll see you again next time, people. Peace.